Okay, hi everybody. Thank you for being here to our Transformational Healing Seminar. I'm Dr. Dennis Mariano, and tonight I'm really excited for the crowd to be here because we have a very special guest, and we like to invite. It's such a stressful world that we live in that not just one thing is a panacea to give you solutions to your problems. And we'll talk about a little bit of an introduction on the holistic approach, and then what's going to happen. Our special guest tonight, Nancy Gentle Boudrie, is going to give us the opportunity to go deeper into the awareness of mindfulness in today's world. Go ahead, Claudia. Okay. Here, let me show you. This one right here. Yeah, right there. That button right there.
Sorry.
That's okay. I thought they showed you how to do that. So before we start, let me go over our practice mission statement. We provide the best technology on holistic health and life care. So what does that mean? What does holistic health and life care mean?
The whole body.
The whole body, right? Is there a separation between mind, body, and spirit, or is it all one? Right? So the problem in today's world that I see, when people are suffering, they only do one part because they go to that expert for that one part. Does that make sense? So what we found over 26 years of doing what we're doing, it's a whole holistic approach. And that's why I'm not the only one doing this. Nancy has to be here. Without her work, my work won't work as well, because we're made up of many different aspects of who we are, right? So our catalyzing statement is to inspire, everybody help me out, read this here. Inspire people to live what kind of lives?
Thriving.
Just getting by? Did somebody say just getting by? What? Or what? What is your birthright to be able to do if you live a balanced life? Is what? To live a thriving life. So you can be a what? Here's my outcome. Why? To be a what?
A beacon.
Of hope for others. If you can be a light to others every time you enter a room instead of darkening the room, then our job would have been done. And that's our goal for you. Now let me ask you something. Can I have my pointer too? I don't have my pointer here. So my goal for you guys is to continue to be beacons of light for others. Because what does the world do for you with regard to... Does the world empower you usually? Or does the world want everything from you? Doesn't the world want to suck you dry, right? Out of everything, your finances, your resources, your emotional stress. So our goal is to get you over here because we understand, Nancy and I understand, that in order for you to be balanced, you have to follow principles of life. Everything in life follows particular principles. When you don't have the principles, you will be inundated with Google. What does Google give you? Information, like endless information that could, you could stay on there. Have you ever done that? You're like, oh, I'm just going to look this up. 10 hours later, right? It's like, wait, it's tomorrow. Because you have all the information. But guess what I found out? If you have nothing but information, but you don't have the principles to filter it through, guess what? You become very confused. Because you'll find something about this research which counteracts with this other research, and next thing you know don't know what to do. Guess what? And Nancy's going to share some with you tonight. What are the principles that you need to espouse and understand that will help you help yourself when there's nobody else around? Our goal, she and I, is to be able to empower you so you don't have to be then a slave to somebody else's opinion of how you should live your life. Right? So that's what we're here about, to help you to be a beacon. If we can make our goal in 2018 to be a light to everybody that we touch, imagine what changes we can make in our community and with each other and the world at large. Because every little candle that you light enlightens the whole world, one person at a time. So run through that whole thing. I'm going to give you a summary here. Our holistic approach, for those of you that are not practice members in our practice, regardless of what symptoms you have here, you can have a pain syndrome, you can have emotional issues, anxiety, divorce, financial stress. It doesn't even matter what's going on here. Run through all of them, Claudia, and all the way through. Just keep pressing the button. There's 6 components to it. There's structural imbalance, biochemical imbalance, electromagnetic frequency influences, toxic overload, allergies and infections, and emotional stress. All these things contribute to whatever's here. Do you guys understand this? Because if you only address one thing and you go to a really good specialist, let's say you go to the world's most specialist with 10 degrees, right? And this, is it going to work? They can only go, what, 1/6 of what the equation is. You need all these other components. I mean, you can eat, I just came back from the Philippines a couple of weeks ago. All they eat there is rice. You can't live on rice. You know what I mean? It's like they eat fresh things, but everything is rice. So you can't just have rice. You're going to go, you're going to become malnourished because it's nothing but processed. So these are all the components. Our seminars, each seminar that we have in our practice focuses and goes deep in one of these. So you can then understand how to live your life in such a way that you can live a balanced life. Okay? So tonight Nancy's going to focus more on mindfulness and how to integrate this in her own way so you can live a balanced life. Her background is she's an expert in mind-body awareness. She spent over 10 years training people in stress management. She studied various meditation methods, and she worked with Dr. John Kabat-Zinn. She's the founder of Mindfulness-based stress reduction, and she sponsored 3 very successful radio shows teaching on the power of living in present moment. And you know what? That's just a small summary of what we can fit on this slide, but she does so much more than that. And you'll see her heart in terms of how she's here to give to everybody. And so we're going to go ahead and introduce her, and then after that I'm going to close and then provide you with some solutions and how you can get in touch with her. So with that, let's go ahead and welcome Nancy Gentle Boudrie. Let's give her a big hand. There you are. And I'm going to put the mic on you. Okay. Where do you want it? On your teeth? No. Okay. How about there?
Yeah,
Would that work?
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah, you're an expert at this. All right. Take
Crow.
it away. Have fun.
Awesome.
I'm going to move away.
So welcome. Thank you so much for coming out on a snowy evening. So how many of you are familiar with mindfulness? Cool. Because I want to just kind of get an understanding. So, mindfulness, what is it? Awareness is a type of mindfulness. So mindfully aware. So you can be aware of what's going on around you, but you're not mindfully aware, which is really what I want to focus on today. So what does it mean to be mindful? It means you're integrating your emotions, your mental state of being, and your physicality, your sensations in the body. You're understanding how you process any given moment. So mindful awareness is simply paying attention on purpose how you feel physically, mentally, and emotionally. It is the understanding that when you understand self, you have a better sense of peace because you understand how you show up, what triggers you, these kind of things. It's a very empowering way of living. But I'd be lying to you if I said it was simple. So mindfulness, if I don't do anything else tonight, I'm just the tip of the iceberg to hopefully spawn more exploration on it. And I provide classes, mentoring, all that. And plus there's a million experts out there. But so we're just going to just touch on the rudimentary level of it, if you will. And the reason why Dr. Dennis asked me to speak on this is because when I said the emotional, mental, and physical, your body is always sending signals to you. It's, are you tuned in and understanding what those signals are? How are you processing whatever's happening mentally and emotionally? So, and that's how his integrates in with all this. Okay? So mindfulness helps you tune in to your natural ebbs and flows of your energy, and your moods. We're not always peaceful beings, but we're not always tumultuous either. And how do I notice what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, and how can I avoid a situation? If I start to live mindful, the trigger, I notice the trigger and I can avoid what it sets me on. I can also notice how I show up in any situation and physicality, the sensations. All of a sudden I get a pit in my stomach, I get this, when I'm in this setting, this has this reaction. Maybe I don't want to be in that setting, but I'm so used to doing it because it's just my way of life. Or I've been doing this for 20 years, and now all of a sudden it's having this adverse effect because I'm tuning in and I'm noticing. I'm living mindfully aware. So the whole crust of this whole thing is really teaching you to empower yourself. You're not a victim to anything. In fact, you're your best expert. You know yourself better than anybody. But you have to tune in and cultivate this relationship. And you want to tune in and cultivate it during, every moment that you can, so you have clarity. Not just when you need it. You can't draw from something unless you make it a habit. So I'm going to teach you some just basic tools and techniques, and I encourage you to use them. They're simple, they take just minutes, but it's helping you observe yourself. And the key to mindfulness, there's 7 principles, and we'll get into that in a moment. But the first one I really want to talk about is non-judgment. We're such a judgmental society. Everything. We judge the salt of our food, the temperature of our coffee. We like this, we don't like that. We always have an opinion about something, right? And not that that's bad, but maybe everything isn't just that rigid. Maybe everything doesn't need to be put in this box of good or bad. And especially when you're trying to foster and understand self. You're simply observing. There is no emotion that's bad. It's my emotion. I'm having it. Jealousy, anger, whatever. But what you want to do is honor that emotion in your own private self. This is an internal exercise, not external. And why am I having that? Why am I feeling anger? And give yourself love and compassion. Really explore it. And it's for your eyes only. If you want to journal, then rip it up. But you're really trying to give yourself permission to process these, because if you don't process it, it's simply lying in one of your organs. And there's organs that are associated with anger, resentment, and I'm sure, again, this is the holistic approach to living, right? So again, being a master of your own life, taking back your power. You're not a victim to the child abuse you had when you were 5 years old. You're not a victim to a boss that berates you every chance he gets. I hold the power. What do I do with that? Okay? So how do we begin? The key for being mindful is living in the present moment. Truly being present. Truly being present. Taking in everything around you. What you see. What you touch. What you hear. It's a sensory world. But sometimes we're on to the next thing, or we're even still in this thing and we're thinking about the next thing. Or we're ruminating on what I did, the fight I had with my husband, and I'm trying to do my job, and I'm busy thinking about that fight. Right? We're never fully present. When you hear peace is in the present moment, it truly is. Because if you think about whatever you're ruminating on, it isn't in the present moment, typically. You can choose in that moment peace. So present moment awareness, not just going through the motions. And it's something we call it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you can set like a little tickler for yourself. If you have a bracelet, every time you look down or you hear it clink, that's a little cue to be mindful, to drop into that. Or you're at a stoplight. Do it while you're at the stoplight. You're standing in Target. Do it in Target. Anytime I'm standing in a line, I'm going to be mindful. These little exercises, 5 things you can see. So you're standing in that moment. You know, I did it today in Target. I'm standing there and I'm noticing inefficiencies. And I'm like, my blood pressure's kind of, you know, I can feel it. It starts happening and I'm so aware of what's going on. I'm like, oh my God. So I immediately drop into this. 5 things I can see. So I noticed this really cool sweater this woman had on and I really liked it. Then I noticed that there was a neon sign in their food court that was missing. One of the lights was off. Then I noticed a candy bar that looked really, really good. And I was like, nope, I don't need that. And, you know, so I'm just taking everything in. 5 things, real quick, so that I would stop ruminating on this inefficiency that's happening, that I'm standing here and people, you know, look like they're, you know, out to lunch or something, you know. I could say something much more colorful, but I won't. And so 4 things that I could touch. So I even, you know, so that you could go, this is the actual order. And I didn't do the actual order. I went right to the smell. I could smell the Starbucks coffee, you know, hearing. But this is the order. It's 5 things you can see, 4 things that you can touch, 3 things that you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. And you just quickly kind of checking in. You're dropping into the present moment, engaging yourself to really notice what is going on. I did it when I was waiting for Dr. Mariano. I looked up at the ceiling. I saw a crack in the ceiling. I saw the butterfly. You know, you're just taking it in. This is the moment to be lived. And at this moment, I can choose what I want to feel. So I was laying there. I was nervous. Do I want to feel nervous? How does that serve me? No, I want to feel at peace. Peace is what I am. Talking to myself. Peace is what I am. And tuning in. So you want to also start to give yourself, kind of like a Pavlov's dog. You've got something that will trigger you to be at peace. And a statement is a great way to do it. So like I said, peace is what I am. And I'm going to show you one of those too. So these are things that you're dropping in, you're taking back your power, and you're choosing how I want to feel in that present moment. How do I want to feel? What do I want to experience? This is the moment to be lived. This is where I can harness the power to live it. And I can create how I want to show up. My emotions fuel my thoughts, and my thoughts create a vibration that sends a signal into every cell in my body, and then I emanate that, like a fragrant perfume or a pungent odor. What do I want? What do I want to emanate? And he's talking about a beacon of light. What do you want to be? Do I want to be that person that's just Debbie Downer and walking around with really a low and all I can think of is all the low things in life? Right? Not that this isn't reality, but recognize. And if you're having it, it's a great way to purge, get it off, and then reach for a higher reaching feeling. Sometimes when you're interacting with your friends, that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. You're unloading, and then you reach for that higher feeling vibration, right? So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Just checking in, present moment awareness, mindfully noticing the world around you. Let's engage that same exercise and engage our emotions, our mental state of being, our physicality. Checking in, you drop in. What am I feeling? And sometimes you're going to be like, I have no clue. I have no feeling. And that's A-okay. But being mindful actually increases your awareness of what you're feeling, your sensory perception. Now, I don't want to scare you, Like, oh, I don't know, I got a lot of emotions going on and I don't need this like Pandora's box thing, right? The only reason when you first start trying to be mindful, it does unearth. And you may feel uncomfortable looking because you choose. You choose. And if I'm not feeling it, not judging it, I'm just aware. So that's mindfully living, and then there's mindful meditation. And mindful meditation is just really infusing a higher quality of mindfulness. And I call it really infusing cellular memory, because that's what it feels like to me. And working with my clients for 12 years, I am teaching cellular memory. When I talked about how I dropped in and said, peace is what I am. Boom, that's what I am. I literally can get a chill in my body because I'm choosing it. And that's the power of fostering it in a quiet, still time. You can also meditate while you're running, walking, gardening. You don't have to have a sit practice. But what the difference is, you're fully engaged in whatever activity that is with your full attention. Not your to-do list, not the calls you have to make or, somewhere else. If you're running, you're taking in the 5 things you can see, the 3 things you can smell. You're taking it in. You are fully mindful of that beautiful sunset or sunrise, the smells in the air, the crisp feel of the air on my skin, the cadence of my run. You're engaged. You're not doing this thinking of the next thing or the conversation I had with Joe Schmo. You're really engaged. And let's talk about mind wandering. Because when clients always go, well, my mind always wanders. Well, of course it's going to wander. The mind is designed to think, and it's a great thinker, and it'll multitask all day long. The whole thing is you're teaching the mind who's the master. So I'm highly intense. For any of you that know me, I am one intense individual. So to sit still every morning, I'm already on to working on this presentation, getting ready for my clients. I'm going to sit and meditate, and I haven't even started my day yet, and I'm already 3 steps ahead. But I choose it because I want to set the pace for my day. I want to be responsive, not reactive. So I know for me, that's what I need to do. It's not long. It doesn't have to be long. I mean, when I really get to have fun, I can take an hour, no problem. But it doesn't have to be long. And you're sitting and you're choosing. You're cultivating. It's your mind, and there's tons of stats out there and all kinds of scientific data. You are actually changing the brain mass in your brain. And I am not a doctor, so I'm not even going to talk that language. I looked up some words and I was like, I can't even pronounce this. But it's out there. So what you're doing is you're getting away from the frontal lobe of the brain, the fight or flight, and you're really responsive to life. You are changing the wiring by which your brain processes. The brain, for those of you that you probably know this, we can take a negative thought pattern, that's what depression, right, and tell ourselves the same story. The brain will actually act as a circuit, create a circuit in that thought pattern, and that's what creates the habit and why you cannot break a negative thought pattern. The brain does that. You have to rewire it, but it can be done. And it is just as hard to rewire as it was for you to develop the negative, but you were building that up over years. Right? So you're changing the brain. The reason why I meditate is I'm choosing to bring myself to a state of awareness, acceptance for what is. I'm 20 minutes in, or I've got 20 more minutes. I got 20 minutes. I'm 20 minutes in?
20 more minutes.
Okay, because I want to do an exercise. Good, thank you. I'm choosing. The 7 principles are letting go, acceptance, beginner's mind, and I won't go way into detail on all these, but I choose one. When I meditate, it's not a ponder, but I'm choosing it. I'm telling myself, I accept the here and now, just as it is. All is in divine order. Things that aren't in my control, I'm in the flow of life. And then I just sit in stillness. And then I tell myself again, I am choosing this mindset. So I'm teaching and wiring my brain to be this, okay? The exercise. Let's do this first one. Okay, this one's really simple. You can be doing it, and you don't have to do this stuff with your eyes closed, sitting. Like I said, you could be standing somewhere. You could be sitting at your desk. Nobody needs to know. You just kind of look like you're somewhere else. Maybe you choose a focal point on the floor. Gaze out the window. And you begin with your index finger. Peace begins with me. That's simple. So nobody needs to know. Peace begins with me. And what you're doing is you're talking. First, I want you to connect to your breath. So you can do this with your eyes open or closed. I don't care, whatever you want to do. If you choose to keep them open, just glance down so you're not going, oh, that's a neat necklace she has on, because the brain's going to think, right? So just you're gazing down or eyes closed. You begin with your index finger, and I want you, when you're doing it, when you're breathing, take a full cycle of breath. And this is kind of how I imagine your brain saying it. Peace begins with me. Rest for a moment. Peace begins with me. And you can go slower or faster. Why don't you try it by yourself in silence for a moment? Now, I will say, when you close your eyes, it does add an element of more sensation, but some people cannot because their equilibrium gets off, okay? A little more complex, but one of my favorites. And this is a great grounding exercise. I have arrived. It's a Zen poem, but it's quick to memorize. I have arrived. I am home. In the here, in the now, I am solid. I am free. In the ultimate, I dwell. So I'll say it again. And feel this. This is a very grounding. I have arrived. I am home. In the here, in the now, I am solid. I am free. In the ultimate, I dwell. And when you stop and you're done, especially if the eyes are closed, you want to change the lens by which you see. You are the master. You're choosing to drop in, be fully present in what you're saying, and then open the eyes and see from a fresh lens. I have arrived. I am home, in the here, in the now. I am solid. I am free. In the ultimate, I dwell. And the whole method to the madness is, it took us a while to say that. You're giving the body, mind, a moment to drop in. Of course, we're all familiar with breathing exercises. And that's why I didn't lead with those. Because you know those, right? But we're going to do them anyways, just for those that you don't know. Breathing exercises are awesome because breath is what anchors us. That is with us all the time, and it's a very grounding drop into the present moment. But what I'm going to add a twist to it is when you breathe in and you breathe out, choose. I want to breathe in strength right now. I need strength. And I breathe out strength. I am one with strength. If I need peace, if I need compassion, if I need serenity, if I need grace. And again, you don't have to do anything with the eyes. You don't have to be closed. You could be sitting on a train. You don't want to look like a Nimrod with your eyes closed.
Yes, I do.
Look like you're sleeping, right? But yeah, I'm just saying, I'm breathing in. I'm well aware of my breath. Well aware. I'm aware I'm breathing in. I'm aware I'm breathing out. You're dropping in. You're training the mind, who's the master. And you're teaching yourself to be mindfully aware. So in close, I mentioned the 7 principles of mindfulness. And some of the hardest ones, I think, I'm going to mention. When we talk about beginner's mind, so when I talked about that exercise where you're really trying to clear your mind, let's say, everything's breaking loose, you feel like a one-arm paper hanger, you're overwhelmed, whether it's work, something happening at home, one of your children, whatever, and you're feeling overwhelmed. You want to start training yourself to just take that 5 minutes, drop in, connect to breath, choose one of these, peace. You can do this. You could do, my favorite is that one that takes a while, but I love it. I teach the counting breath. There's so many things you can do. Whatever resonates. But give yourself that minute and change the lens by which you see. It's that simple. You're freeing yourself of expectation from past experience. Because what's happening is you're drawing all this stuff in to the present moment. All that is not happening. You're just choosing to create it. So you're freeing yourself of those expectations. Remove the attachment of the past and just be. Attachment is what creates all that. My gentle reflection this Friday is on rumination. So if you're interested in getting them, they come in your inbox. I do a YouTube video. It's like 9 minutes long. And I'm going to talk about rumination. That is the number one thing we do. Freeing yourself from expectation. Bringing the past into the present moment. Another one I think is really important is accepting. A willingness to see things just as they are. Fully accepting what each moment offers, you're able to experience life much more fully. You have to. There's things out of your control. So how can I celebrate the present moment? Accept it for what it is. We talked about non-judgment, being impartial witness. to your own experience. If you even just start doing that, all the berating we do of ourselves, the criticizing we do of ourselves, it's okay to have bad emotions or negative emotions. You just got to process them. You need to move them out. You don't want to live there. But you can't keep looking away from it like it doesn't exist, because it's just there. So you might as well look at it. God, I recognize there's resentment in me. That's a powerful thing. But it doesn't make you a bad person. So process it. What am I resentful of? Dive into that emotion and allow yourself to process it. Do you want to close with some things? No? Okay. And the last one I'll talk about is letting go. This is one of the most hard things as a species we have to do. One of my favorite exercises in mindful meditation for myself is learning how to let go. And I love a visual. When you learned how to swim, you had to put your arms out, your chest poofed up, and your head way back, right? Did anybody learn how to float? Like, this is the big thing, right? You had to learn how to float. Well, think about that exercise. So you're on the water. You know, if I put my arms way back and my chest up and my head back, I can float for hours. My dad made me do this when I was a little kid because we were a boating family. And until you could do that, you could not wear your life preserver. But that's a metaphor, because this is so exposed. My chest is up. I can't see where I'm going. I'm trusting that I'm going to float, right? So it's surrendering. You're training the cells that when I'm in my stillness practice, when I am meditating, not walking around here doing my daily tasks, I am training myself cellular memory to be able to drop in and surrender, open to receive, allow. The reason why you're doing that is so that the life situations flow. I can't control everything. I got to learn to flow. It's teaching you the art of surrender, and you're training yourself. So these little exercises when you're just in stillness, so that when there's a time when you don't want to relinquish control, or you are scared to death, fear is setting in and I am gripping on, oh, maybe this is one of those times I need to surrender. And you, Pavlov's dog, drop in. You're training yourself before you need it, so that you're cultivating this sense of surrender, flow. Does it make sense? Any questions on anything that I've said? Or any feedback? You've tried to do this and it doesn't work? I've heard it all. Bring it on.
What exactly are the 7 principles?
Yep. Non-judging, non-striving. So there's no goal. This is a journey, not a destination. Acceptance, letting go, beginner's mind, patience, remembering that things must unfold in their own due time. Scary. Trust is the final one. Trust in your own feelings. But you got to cultivate those feelings. You got to know. We're so busy, sometimes we've negated our gut. We're trying to think everything through. You got to trust your feelings. Trust your intuition. You're your best expert. A feeling of confidence that things can unfold within a dependable framework that embodies order and integrity. Good question. Thanks, Grace. Any other? Does this feel lofty? Does it feel like something you can acquire? Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to see me afterwards. Like I said, I put a sign-up sheet over there for my newsletter. It gives you we call it a gentle reflection, play off my maiden name, and a YouTube video every Friday that helps support this lifestyle.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. You're going to kind of make a picture first?
Oh, yeah, no, sure. Uh-huh.
I'll forget.
Yeah, I have a question.
Oh, sure.
What, in the beginning, made you be interested in learning this?
Awesome. Love it.
Like I mentioned, that I was an intense individual. I owned an agency, an insurance agency, and I had 2 locations. I found myself trying to control everything and just driving business, and I was driving myself insane, micromanaging. And then I had my first child and tried to bring that same energy to my mother. Not working. Realized that and a child was dealing with it. So I started recognizing I was going to drive myself crazy and make myself sick, or I was going to need to learn to change my mindset. And so I wanted to learn how to relax, and that's how I came into it. And really, then it was like the tip of the iceberg. I had just little health issues I've never had, but recognized how much correlation. I always had, now I can't even think of it. So when your body, your colon, had diarrhea all the time. IBS, thanks. And I started meditating, totally went away. Little things like, then I started seeing the mind-body connection. I'm like, holy mackerel. If I start lightening up, not so tense and rigid, things, and like had a shoulder, you just like all these little things. The body was speaking. I was just so much in Energizer bunny mode that I didn't listen and was driving myself crazy.
Okay, what time period was this in? Was it during the age of the internet or what?
So, let's see. I've been on this journey since I was 34. I'm 53 now.
Okay, so you were reading books back then.
Yeah, not the internet.
Okay.
Right.
So that was a lot more difficult to do than today.
Yeah.
You just type something up and
Yeah.
get some kind of information.
Right.
So what you accomplished was very difficult to compile
Right.
everything.
And what was neat? I started doing it, and what really fed my soul was I didn't realize people around me recognized the change in me. And women were starting to ask me if I had a facelift or had like Botox. I mean, this is, I'm in my 30s, and I was like, no. I didn't realize how much that lightened me up, right? And then people started asking me to teach them. So that's how I formed a business. And I did it out of my home. So it was just, a way of living for me that became such a natural way of living. And then people would say, just being in your presence, I feel at peace.
Right, yeah.
So then they're like, I want some of that. How can I be that way? And especially the people that were my friends, because they remembered the other woman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Well, thank you, Nancy. I'm sure you have many other questions. This was just an introduction, and I wanted everybody to experience Nancy's heart and her mind, and how to share exactly how we can counteract the challenges that we all encounter in today's world. Because let me ask everybody something. Do you think the way the world is right now, is it going to get less or more complex?
More.
Do you think we'll experience more or less stress? So we have to have strategies. We can't just do this in one time. We can't just pretend that we know it. I mean, like everything in life, it's a process, correct? There are many things in life that are events like birthdays and, celebrations, but most of life is what? It's a process. So I'll introduce a little bit more of what we could do with Nancy towards the end here, but let me go ahead and close with a couple minutes here. Again, go through all of those, Claudia. There's 6 components, and what we did tonight with regard to the holistic approach to health is we went deep with this in terms of how you can accomplish that. One method of 7 principles that Nancy shared with you. How can you accomplish this on your own? And guess what? It's just like anything else, like driving, taking a bath if you're a little guy, eating properly, saving money, or even now with most of us, how do you have a good relationship with somebody and not be so selfish, right? So these are all things that you have to do for how long? Forever. I'm sorry to tell you, it's never going to end. If you want to have a consciously lived life, you have to continue to create these consciousness and have awareness all the time. And my job and Nancy's job is to basically share with you these principles and to constantly remind you. Because guess what? Any high-level athlete that the Super Bowl's coming up in this coming weekend, right? All those high-level athletes are the cream of the cream of the cream. Is that true? If they didn't have a head coach holding them accountable, guess what do? They go to jail. They cause trouble. They shoot somebody, right? I mean, these are the highest level paid athletes in the world. Without a coach, without somebody to support them, what do? It's human nature. What do? We get in trouble. We're like little brat kids. They just run around, cause trouble because nobody's watching us, right? So what we need to do is what? Surround ourselves with a community, people that work with you. You want those people to be high-level accountability around you, to hold you accountable for the same thing. Your spouses, your children, and guess what? It's not going to be easy, but like Nancy said, it was a process that she had to go through. She did it out of necessity, and she was very fortunate with her gifts to be able to create that for herself, and now to teach all of us, and as she shares her light with us also. So let me go ahead and proceed to the next. The one thing that I want to share with all of you that are not practice members, and most of you that are practice members already understand this, how do you experience your world? Through your nervous system. Mm-hmm. Guess what? There's no way you could think, there's no way you could experience, there's no way you can breathe if you didn't have a properly functioning nervous system. And that's really, really critical to understand, because many people will have Nancy's principles and they'll struggle. They'll struggle because the physical body it's unable to express these capacity to function. When you have proper communication between your brain and the tissue cells in the body, all the organs and all the muscles, you have 100% what? Function. You have 100% function, and this is your birthright right here. This is the way you were born. Everything was functioning. You came from 2 cells, created, and the innate intelligence in your body allowed you to develop 9 months later into a perfect human being. No extra limbs here, no extra nose like I do over here. You know what I mean? Everything was just where we're at. Just 1 liver, 1 heart, 2 lungs, 2 kidneys. Do you understand? That's the intelligence that runs you. And guess what it's run through? Through your nervous system. So the next level that you need to understand is that when you have impulses in your body that are not getting to those. Dr. Windsor, back in 1921, he was a pathologist in the University of Pennsylvania. Here's what he found. What does a pathologist do? They study disease. They study people that are already dead, by the way. So, he was a coroner as well. So he would study these people, and what he found, whatever these people died from, that part of their organs, when you trace it back to the nerves, to the spine, that part of the spine had the most arthritis or a small curvature. Look at the equation. What's the principle? You damage your spine, you damage your nerve system, you damage the function of the body. What happens to your health? But here's the problem. Are all nerves in your spine sensory? Can you always feel when there's a pinching nerve in your spine? No. How many percent is it? Is sensory in your spine? About between 10 to 20%. Like 45% controls muscles, you can feel those. 45% controls organs, where you can't feel those, right? Nobody can feel their pancreas, your thyroid. But guess what? It's all controlled through your nervous system. So what happens when these vertebrae misalign in your spine without you feeling it, they were called, by the way, what are they called? Subluxation or spinal misalignments. They don't hurt most of the time. They decrease the function between the communication, and your cells now begin to do what? Remember how we had 6 components that influence this? This is the physical component. What Nancy was talking to you about was the emotional biological chemical component that you can induce by your thought patterns or not controlling your thought patterns. That can all have the same effect. The communication between your tissue cells, decreased function, results in dis-ease in the body. Very critical to understand that mechanism. In our practice, we can scan those meridians to find out if there's any weakness in the system, and we can then ask the body whether it's physical, emotional, or chemical, and support the body's needs as necessary in a natural way. Also, if you go deeper, Nancy is very expert in this. We've had many sessions with this as well, right? And basically what we found out in Chinese medicine and in chiropractic, that organs in your body, emotions in your body actually have an address. In other words, emotions in your liver and your gallbladder are what? Everybody, if you can read that. Resentment, anger, galled, stubborn, emotionally repressed, depressed, indecisive, irrationality, frustration, aggression. And in the kidney and the bladder meridians are paralyzed will, fear, pissed off, timid, inefficient, wishy-washy, I don't know, maybe I'll talk to them, maybe I won't. Dread, oh, what are they going to say to me? Bad memory, oh, I had a bad experience, I'm not going to do that again. And contemplated, what should I do? So all these emotions are associated with organs, they're associated with vertebrae, they're associated, this is how I found this out, recurrent misalignments. As a chiropractor, I was adjusting people again and again and again, and the adjustments wouldn't hold. Until I found this chart, like, of course it's not going to hold. You're pissed off all the time. Your vertebrae are never going to hold because you're ready to fight or flee. Does that make sense? So on the physical level, there's manifestations. So you have to look at it from a different point of view. On the physical level, we can identify these things, and we can identify where these organs and emotions are buried. And emotions, guess what? This is another principle. Emotions buried alive never die. They just circulate throughout. Remember Newton said, energy can't be destroyed or created. It just does what? It changes form. And that's who you are as an entity. You came here into this physical body. You existed before your body existed. And when your body's gone, you will continue to exist. Because you cannot be destroyed or created. You will only change what? Form. And that's what you go deep into when Nancy teaches you her principles. You go deep into who you truly are. The essence of who you are, as opposed to just your physical body. You get outside of this finite, fallible, make mistakes all day long body into who you truly are on the inside. And the principles that she'll continue to share with you will allow you to drop deep into that and access it instead of being reactive in your present moment. So let's talk about this very quickly. This is the hierarchy of life. These are things that are critical for you to be alive. Let's talk about food. How long can you live without food? First of all, is food critical? I know everybody's kind of hungry right now, right? You need it to be alive, right? How long can you live without food?
A long time.
A long time? Longer. I know it feels like you can't live more than a week with food, right? So there's this show that I watched, Naked and Afraid. Anyone ever watched that?
I've heard of it.
It's crazy. So these people get dropped off. We have no clothes, we have nothing, and they have no food and no water, and they live for like. They're not happy, they're not having fun at all. They're like falling apart, they're like fainting, they're like hitting their heads on the rock, they're breaking legs, getting bitten by bugs. But guess what? They can live for about 21 days to a month with no food. But it's critical though. You're not having fun, you're not partying, but would you agree that food is critical for survival? Yeah. How about water? How long can you live without water? That's what it seems like, because we're so used to having everything. I just came back from the Philippines. They have nothing over there. It's just like, the things that we take for granted over here, like air conditioning. When it's 85 and you're sweating, you have that glaze on you all day long, and you can't calm down, and it's just sweating all day long, right? You take for granted that you can have air conditioning and cold water. They don't have ice. It's just like water from wherever, rain, So water, you can live for how long without water? About 2 weeks. Again, you're not having fun. You're like, everything's dried up. So water's critical, but what's more important, food or water? Water. Can you see the hierarchy here? If you were to do without something, these are principles I'm sharing with you. If you get stuck somewhere, you need your water more than you do your food. You can live longer without. How about air? If something happens to you, like Christopher Reeve, remember he was riding a horse and he fell off and he fractured his C2? and then the spinal cord no longer. How long before you're not able to breathe properly before you die? How long? Is it hours, weeks? Minutes, right? They say 4 minutes, and the brain can live with about 4 minutes. That's about it. And then most of the time, it's irreversible. Now, is air important? Which is more critical? Let's go, right? Air is more critical than water. Now watch this. Your nervous system. Go back to Christopher Reeve. Remember how he was paralyzed from the waist down? And remember the pictures and the videos that were sad? He was such a good guy, right? Superman. And so he had no diaphragmatic function. So what would happen? They would pump air into his chest cavity, and gravity, as it pushed down, he would be able to talk that way. Remember that? And eventually there was no function from the brain to the organs. They just began, and then eventually you expire. And it was a sad thing for it to happen, but it makes a point that what? If you didn't have proper functioning nervous system, would that be okay to eat organic food and pay twice the amount? It's okay, right? But guess what? You can't digest it. If you have reverse osmosis, Berkey filtered water and so on, but if you're dead, does it matter? If you gave a cadaver here some organic reverse osmosis, ultraviolet water, would it come alive? Stop laughing. No. I know, it's funny. It doesn't. So you have to be careful thinking that something outside of you is going to make you healthier. It's a part of the equation, right? So air is the same thing. You have to have filtered air. In other words, otherwise, you won't have proper oxygen, carbon dioxide mix. The most important thing I'm asking you to consider tonight is your nervous system. And not many people will talk to you, and Nancy will tell you this because she knows many different practitioners. Nobody will talk to you about chiropractic the way we're talking to you, how it's essential for your life. Nancy gets adjusted, not because she's in pain. Sometimes she is because she's a stress bucket like me. But guess what? She starts buzzing when I adjust her because she's very energetic. I feel nothing because I'm a guy. I just don't So, and she always makes fun of me about that. But she feels everything. She starts buzzing every time I adjust her spine. Because guess what? It starts to reorganize you on a cellular level. And that's the reason why we adjust you. Not because you have pain, even though it helps with that. It allows your organs to function well. It allows you to adapt. Here's what the adjustment does. It reboots your system. Do you ever have a phone where it just likes to get sluggish? Like my phone, when I open too many things and I try to play music, it goes... I have to reboot the whole thing. That's what adjustments do to your nervous system when you do it on a regular basis. It reboots your system so you can adapt to the environment. Okay? So I have a heavy burden, and so does Nancy. Guess what? How many people really know about what we're talking about tonight? You think everybody knows about this? And let's say those of them that know about it, do they practice what we're preaching? It's a burden to us. Guess why? Why is that a burden? Why don't we just leave everybody alone? Guess why? The people that know this don't know what we know. They're your neighbors. They're the kids that you have to take out of jail. They're the ones that you have to see what I'm saying? To prevent them from... These are the people driving your kids to school. These are the people teaching you. These are the politicians that are running your country. When they don't understand the principles of health and how to live a happy and healthy and thriving life, guess what? They are your neighbors and your community. So the heavy burden we have is we can't do this one person at a time. That's why we're putting this online. You have to become the ambassadors. We're inviting you to become ambassadors, to share these principles with everybody before it's too late. And guess what? You're not here to be accepted. You're not here to shove it down their throat, right? Your job is to share like it's a gift. It's a gift that you give to them. If they choose not to accept it, it still belongs to you, right? So that's our burden. And you know what? The reaction to your message, it doesn't matter. You have to just ask them to be open to it. If they're ready, go ahead and share the information. Invite them to our seminars. We're going to have more seminars like this with other guest speakers as well. So in our practice, we set hours aside to scan people, and Nancy will have some promotions for you as well. So in order for people to benefit from the kind of work, the holistic work we do, we take 4 hours every week for proactive screenings. The gift we do a posture analysis. We put you on 2 weight scales. We do a functional movement analysis. We take x-rays if necessary. And we also put together a scan of your spine that shows if your muscles are spasmed without you knowing it. It's like an EKG, but it's of your spine. The normal fee for that is $280. People that sign up for this evening is $149. It's $131 savings. And also, Nancy is going to have you sign up for her to go deeper into the kind of services she can provide for you. Because again, this is not a panacea. It's a whole holistic approach. Again, let me review with you our practice mission statement. Everybody help me out here. To provide the best technology in holistic health and life care. Our lasting statement is to inspire people. We invite you to do the same thing. To live what? Thriving lives so they can be a beacon of hope for others. Okay. I like this. Everybody read that. I find it fascinating that most people plan their vacations with better care than they plan their lives. Maybe because denial is easier than change. Author Jim Rohn, right? Isn't that true though? When you go on vacation, you're like, oh, research, shh, quiet, don't talk to me, right? What about our lives? I wake up, I do the same thing every day, go through my same stresses, as opposed to going deep, starting your day with meditation and ending it with meditation, so you can truly be in touch with who you truly are. You know, there are many people that we know are no longer here. We are blessed to still be here. We really have to be careful not to wait until there's a trial in your life, a life and death situation, before you make a choice, because we don't know that. One of my cousins, my wife's cousins, was 24 years old. He was just getting his life together. He was having challenges. He had 2 young kids and so on, and he was driving to work with his buddy who was 19 years old at that time. It was 5 in the morning, and the guy fell asleep. They were in their truck. They hit a garbage truck, and it exploded, and that was 2 years ago, and now he's gone. Now he has 3 kids and so on. So why am I asking you to consider that? Do not wait. You don't know what tomorrow brings. Only God knows when you're still going to be here. You understand? Let's not continue to go, oh, I'll just put up with the stress. I'll just put up with this type of environment that I work in. I'm just going to put up because I want to be accepted. It's not about that, right? It's about you. If you're going to be a beacon of light for others, you have to shed all the embarrassment you've experienced throughout your life. Nancy is going to meet other people to help you with that. Okay? Our next seminar is how holistic healthcare can help you with your chronic pain and health problems. People online there, Mariano Holistic Life Center and Facebook, our website there too, have gained benefit from this information, especially with Nancy, that you know could benefit from this information. Don't just keep it to yourself. You never know, that could be some desperation, and that person could be, there's many people that we go through in our practice, and Nancy will agree with me, they're just so desperate. They don't know where to turn. They don't know what you know. So if you can share this information with them by forwarding this video, you may save their life. So we ask you to do that. And if you yourself are having challenges, please come consult with us as well. So with this evening, first of all, let's give Claudia a big hand for doing our, thank you very much. And then also, of course, Nancy. I mean, we'd like to have her back again. Everybody agree? Back again, go a little bit deeper. So we'll invite her again, maybe tomorrow. So not too soon, right? And yeah, we'll plan it accordingly so that we can go deeper and then be able to engage with her. As a community, this is what we need. And I want to thank everybody for being here. Listen, you could have chosen to do the same old thing with your routine, but you took time out of your busy schedule this evening to make a difference with just not you, but the people that's surrounding you right now. So give yourself a big hand and enjoy the good night. And please drive carefully and have a good evening. And feel free to speak with them. Yeah. Yeah.
Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock, I do have a guided meditation, mindful meditation in my studio in Westchester. So, just throwing that out there if you ever want to come. It's about 45 minutes to an hour long, but my studio's in Westchester. So it's on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. And all this will be sent if you sign up for my newsletter. We send out reminders, hey, it's tonight, and that kind of thing. And also, if this is something, a lifestyle that you want to embrace and you're not sure how to get started, free. Thank you.
Thanks.
I know.